not playing. Come on. All right.
Being constructed in a
Okay.
sense from outside.
Can you see it? Is it shared?
Yeah.
Out.
Mm-hmm.
The fate of our cells is controlled.
Oh, Bruce Lipton.
Oh, he's a
And the chemistry of
genius.
our blood
Yes, he is.
adjusted by the way we perceive life. So that
Yep.
if we open up our eyes and see love in our presence, we release chemistry in the blood, such as oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. These chemicals promote health and vitality of the system. In contrast, however, if I open up my eyes and I see something that threatens me or scares me, I release a completely different set of chemicals into my blood, such as stress hormones and histamine. The difference is these chemicals actually shut down my growth and prepare me for protection. So it becomes very critical on how we see the world because our perceptions are converted into chemistry, and the chemistry directly controls not just our behavior, but our genetic expression as well.
So that's another thing. I hate to live in fear. I hate messages of fear. Anybody that's trying to scare you into something, this is what it does to me. That's how I feel. Like it's fear is stopping you. You're living in that state. You're not living to thrive to your full potential, where that can cause some anxiety, stress.
Right.
That
Mm-hmm.
stress is gonna kill you more than whatever it is out
Yeah.
there. Once you're in that state of fear, in that state of stress, that's where I feel like you're vulnerable to actually getting sick from whatever it is you're scared of.
Yeah.
Where if you're living more from the perspective of love, compassion, there's uh something, just you got a pain somewhere, instead of like, oh my god, I think I'm gonna, and you're making it worse with your thoughts, right? Instead of like, okay,
Yeah.
let me
Mm-hmm.
let me figure this out, what's going on. And all right, this pain is telling me something, right? Listen to it. All right, let's figure it out, where you're more prepared to actually get better when you're in that state of mind, and instead of like in that state of fear.
Right.
Because yeah.
As we learn that our genes can actually be turned on and off, not just with drugs, supplements, and food, but also by our attitudes. Scientific pioneers are now exploring how our non-physical energy field interacts with our health. They call our field the biofield.
The notion of layers of subtle bodies comes out of ancient Indian thinking or the ancient Oriental medicine.
Throughout the ages, mystics have talked about, the source, the matrix, some sort of all-encompassing field. But now, since the advent of quantum physics, we've understood that there is a quantum field. And physicists are able to do a number of types of experiments to demonstrate and actually measure what's happening in this field.
There's a new understanding on the relationship of matter and energy based on quantum physics. And the issues about energy healing that are different from mechanical healing is that energy involves invisible waves, which include thought and what actually physicists call the field. The field is a whole collection of all the energy that makes up the universe. And it turns out the field is what shapes matter.
Mm. The field shapes matter. And so it's interesting that he says, your thoughts are powerful. That's why I believe that, your thoughts, and it's said forever, your mind is a terrible thing to waste, and your mind is so powerful. Like, and we say it like not even thinking like,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude, like you're not even getting it, bro. It is that
Yep.
powerful. So even when you're praying, you are like, your thoughts and your focus on someone, and thinking about them, loving them, and just pouring all of that into them, that's actually really good for you
Yeah.
and for them.
Mm-hmm.
I always believe, like, I don't know how I got out of certain situations, but I know damn well somebody was praying for me,
Somebody,
right? So
yeah.
like, I
Mhm.
know, I believe somebody's praying for me, and I know my mom
Right.
prays, my dad prays, everybody prays. That's for me, that's real, right? We don't pay attention enough to that. But something interesting that I'm learning through it's called NLP, yeah, neuro linguistic programming, where your thoughts in the universe, in this field, right? It doesn't recognize who you're directing a thought to. If you're saying, oh, I hate this guy, right? It's your thought or that field is not recognizing that guy. It's recognizing that hate. So when
Right.
you're thinking, so that's why we have to pay attention to our thoughts. Like, oh man, um I don't like when this person does that. It's not thinking about that person doing that. That judgment is actually coming back to you because it's not recognizing the subject that you're judging. The judgment is
Right.
just sitting there. It's just recognizing the judgment. So, oh man, that's a poor guy. You're that poor is what you're
You,
actually
you, you're doing it to yourself.
you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's man, the journey that I'm on, I'm like, man, my goodness. I'm like, wish I learned this earlier.
Same.
Yeah.
Einstein once remarked, the field is the sole governing agency of a particle. What he was talking about is that the invisible forces are primary in shaping the physical world.
Right. That's what we're kind of talking about. Your spirit first, right? It's
Right.
that is first. It's shaping the physical world. So that's another thing. Like when you're so they say the your environment is actually the expression of your inner being. Like however it is your inner being, your environment is going to reflect that to you.
Right.
So the more you're in a more positive state, the more positive you can see outside. One of my
Right.
guides that I follow
Mm-hmm.
says it's like looking in a mirror, right? The reflection, right? Your environment is a reflection. The mirror is a reflection, right? And if you're looking and the reflection is sad, you're not going to go over to the reflection and tell it to smile. You have to smile first, and the reflection is going to show you that, right? So if you want to change that reflection, you want to put a smile on that reflection,
You got to do the smile.
you got
Yeah.
to do the
You got to change
smile,
yourself.
right? That's a good
Makes
way.
a
It's
lot of
like,
sense.
oh God, that's so small but so genius. Like,
It is. Yeah. It's very deep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Field is an organizing field within and around the human body or any living thing.
By the way, if you're like
And
switch the video, I'm done.
it's
Just let me know.
And it's
No, this is interesting. These are videos. I mean, I've done a lot of research, and these are videos that I haven't
we
seen.
know about so-called electromagnetic fields, biophotons, or very low-level particles of light, infrared emission, the brain waves and the heart waves.
Several decades ago,
Yeah, I think
a
that was
German
it for this
physicist
one.
called
Let me
Fritz
see.
Albert Popp, by accident, discovered that there is light coming out of living
Yeah, I think that was it
things.
for that one. Yeah. So I'm actually, this is on the, see this G right here?
Uh-huh.
It's an app called Gaia. And I'm telling you, it's the spiritual Netflix.
Yes, a friend of mine that I know that I met when I first moved to Florida, you need a membership, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's 15. Yeah.
she tuned me into Gaia, and I was like, well, I didn't feel like paying a membership fee at the time, so I never really looked into it much, but she was big on it.
Yeah, yeah. So there is, I mean, sometimes it's like just like Netflix, it's like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna watch. There's nothing's catching
Yeah.
your eye, but
Mhm.
when you do come across something like, you were meant to come across, it's like, holy cow, that was that just made my day.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, these things are just freezing on me.
Curve from slow frequency to very high frequency.
So when they talk about low frequency to high frequency, they talk about 3 dimension, 2 dimensions, right? Where we're considered 3 dimensions. You're 3 dimensional beings. We can see, 3 dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Where you hit when you go to the 4th dimension, now that's the astral plane that you were talking about. That
Right.
like we can't see it from the 3rd dimension because it's vibrating at a higher level.
Right.
So the more the higher your vibration, the higher up you go in being.
Right.
Where they say the 4th dimension, you can see everything lower than the 4th. So you can see 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, 4 dimension, but you don't see the 5th dimension because you're not there yet. You're not vibrating at that
Right.
level. So I had another podcast that where like you can feel that vibration when you're feeling like, yo, did you feel that? That was
Yeah.
dope. You're vibrating high, like high.
Yeah.
You don't even notice the person that's sitting over there with a frown. Like you don't see that.
You don't.
You're
Yeah.
not on. You're on a different vibration. Like
Yeah.
I don't bring me down to that vibration. Don't knock me down off my high, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
so they say when you're at that state of being, that's where you're thriving. That's where you actually heal. You ever hear stories of people that are diagnosed with cancer and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna watch comedies for the rest of my life.
Yes, I heard a story
And
like that. Yep.
yeah, and so that feeling of laughing and all that,
Mm-hmm.
they go to the doctor. The doctor's like, what'd you do? Like you don't have cancer anymore. Like what happened?
Yep. A
Because
different
you're at that
vibe.
state of being where you're at that state, you can start healing yourself, right?
Right.
So I believe in that. I mean, I also believe that there's other things that just like, nope, that was just meant to be, And but yeah, so let me
I
go.
think your vibe also has a huge impact on your ability to communicate with the other spirit realm,
Yes.
with the spirit realm,
Yeah.
because you because you've known us for so long. I know that you know that I've had a lot of loss in my life. Like my parents died when I was younger, and back then, because my mindset was different, I never saw like any of the signs of them being around until somebody said to me, "Your mother's always with you," and I was like, "What? How am I supposed to know this? She leaves you signs all the time." I was like, "I never noticed them. She leaves you signs through nature," is what she told me. And then I still didn't pay attention until my late boyfriend Larry died, and I was so grief-stricken that I would talk to him, and in processing through the grief, I would talk to him every day, and I realized that because I was in that mindset, and I was like, I don't know if I believe in this or not, but it was like, I'm talking to you because I know that I believe in an afterlife. I don't know how it works, but I know that I want to get this, whatever I'm feeling out. Whether you hear it or not, I don't know. But dude, I would literally get thoughts downloaded, like responses, like he was right there.
Exactly.
And I was like, I'm probably going crazy. Until I had a reading, like 2 months after he died, I sat with a personal friend of the family and had a reading done. And one of the questions I asked her was like, does Larry ever talk to me? Yes, he talks to you all the time.
All the time, right?
And I said,
but we're taught.
How? And so I said, how does he talk to me? Just because I wanted verification, she's like, he talks to you in your head. And I was like, oh my God, so I'm not going crazy.
Right.
He's in your head.
We're taught that we're crazy if we do that.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to that, oh, you're crazy. From kids. So
exactly.
They say the kids are so in touch with that world. They're in touch with it. But we teach them that's crazy. No, you don't see it. You're not seeing that. Don't say that.
Right. Your imaginary friend.
Anybody.
Yeah.
And you're actually killing that. Your kid. You're like, that. But no, that was real for me. Like, why are you doing that to me? And so
Yeah.
you grow up like, no, I can't. And you're cutting yourself off from that intuition that you're born with, that gift that we're all born with. It's diminished. Like, no, stop.
It is. Let me share another funny story
That
with you. While we're on the subject of me having conversations with Larry, one day I wanted to put up a calendar. He used to pick up a calendar of downtown Sanford, where we were living at the time in Florida, puts out a calendar with pictures of the downtown area and like the baristas and the people that go, hang out and whatnot. And so they're all different pictures, and they put it in the calendar, and he would pick up a calendar every year and he would put it up in the dining room. And this particular year after he died, it was like, all right, so I think it was December or January sometime, I came across a new calendar. So I was like, I have to put it up just, in memory of Larry. So I went to put it up and I couldn't find a nail. So I had a conversation with him. I said, Larry, I need a nail. I need a nail just like the one I used to put this picture up over here. I need one of those nails. So it was like, almost like he guided me to his nightstand, mind you. There was a nail in there, right? So when I pulled the nail out, yeah, it's the same kind of nail. But Larry, and this is a conversation like he's standing right there, this nail's bent, it's not going to work. So the thought in my head is try it anyway, right? So I tried it anyway, and of course it didn't work. I said, see, I told you it didn't work. I need a regular straight nail just like this one. And I left it alone, right? And because I work from home, I put it aside, and I sat down at my desk, and I'm working. And all of a sudden I get this thought, go out into the patio. Front patio. I'm going to the patio for. Just go to the front patio and look around. Look around the edges of the patio. So I go on the patio and I'm looking around the edges. And would you believe I found a nail?
yeah.
The exact nail I freaking needed on the edge of the patio. And I'm like, who would think that there'd be a nail at the edge of the patio? That nail that I need. I was blown away. Blown away. These are the little things that we actually like. Because that's where my mindset was, and there was no how could I put it? There's nothing impeding that mindset because I kind of let it go and just went about my business. It came through.
it just came.
It came through clearly. Here it is.
You let it go.
That's what you asked for. There it is.
Yep. And that's the thing. When you're racking your brain, you're still in that mind state of the problem, where you're gonna get the solution of the problem when you get out of that state and let it go.
Let go of the resistance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a couple things came to mind, right? That's what people say, like, I don't know, something told me to go to the front, right? They say it all the time.
Yeah.
Something told me, like, yeah, something did tell you. Go,
yeah.
And you answering that and having a conversation with that, they're like, oh, you're crazy. You're talking to yourself. No, listen, man, I'm doing something right now. And I'm finding my nail. This is how I'm going to find it. And let me just find it. Right? It's not judging me. Like, don't judge me.
Yeah.
You probably talking to yourself, but you don't say it out loud. You're sitting there talking to yourself right now. Right?
Yeah. That's true.
While you're going crazy inside, I'm going crazy outside.
I'm doing it out. And you could say you're going crazy talking to yourself. I'm actually talking to my dead boyfriend. So leave me alone.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm therapeutic. I'm feeling great about it. Right?
Yep.
I'm letting it out. That's it.
Yep.
But
exactly.
That's, judgment. That's a whole nother show too. Judgment.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The ruler. Your third density is only between centimeter 3 and centimeter 4. All the rest is what humans cannot see and cannot understand. They cannot see it because they do not have the frequency to see it. Imagine a car running so fast that you can barely see it. If it runs even faster, you will no longer see it. So it's not in your frequency. But if you jump into another car and go next to it as fast, that same car will appear as if it was stopped, motionless.
I thought that was...
That's true. That's a good explanation. Yeah.
It is. When I heard it, I'm like, that's what I was talking about, right? We don't see it.
Yeah.
We see each other like we do because we're on the same frequency right now. like something first dimension, like they can't see it like us because we're vibrating higher than they are. Just like whatever is vibrating in the fourth is vibrating higher than we are. That when we do match it, now it's like we're stopped. And then we
Yeah.
can see like we are on the
Hmm.
same vibration, we're on the same vibe, we're on the same level, right? It's just mind blowing to me, right?
It is. It's kind of like
Uh,
when you lose an item, and I know this happens to the majority of us. You lose something, and it could be right in front of your face, and you don't see it because you're in the lost vibe. You know, the thing is lost, so you're obviously not going to see it because you think it's lost. But once you forget about it, next time you go in that drawer, there it is. It's like I swear I looked in here 4 or 5 times. It wasn't in here.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Like, and when I learned this, I'm like, that's what.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
yo, I checked there. No, babe, did you check over there? I'm like, babe, I checked it like 5 times. And
Yep. And
you go
there
over
it
there, I'm
is.
like, no, I
Yep.
swear I checked this like 5 times. It wasn't here. It's crazy. But it's
It is.
beautiful. It's like, oh man, it's being, I'm telling you, like the human experience is really special. Like you get to be human and also spiritual. Like it's you have the choice to always have that connection and look at life from that. You can look at it
Right.
from here. Like, you go through a sad moment, appreciate that you could feel sad, right? Because
Right.
I would imagine that at spirit level, you know everything, right? You've seen everything, you felt everything. You don't have those experiences from the spirit because you're like a spirit, right?
Right.
Where
Mhm.
and when we're in a human experience, like you get to really experience what it is sad, right? And then you could work yourself through that and then feel good that you felt going through that, right? And
Right.
those feelings we have to appreciate that we can feel that.
Yeah, it's part
Because I
of what
mean
makes us who we are.
yeah, and and you never know, you're here one day, you're gone the next, and now you don't have that experience anymore. But
Yep.
not to say the next experience is not going to be great too, right? But like we have to appreciate this moment and this experience as well,
Right.
and that's why I feel like everything is meant to be a learning experience. Your
Mhm.
emotions are teaching you why am I feeling that way right now,
Right.
and instead of judging like, something's got to be wrong with me. No, listen,
Right.
sit in it. Well, let it work itself out. Like you said, let it go, right? When they say let go and let God. Now, I feel like when you let go, and it's like, okay, stop the resistance, like let go of the resistance
Mhm.
of what you're feeling in that moment and judging it like, oh my God, something's wrong with me. No, nothing is wrong with you. Pay attention to what is happening because something is trying to teach you something right now,
Yep.
and just experience it, right? And so when you let it go, it's like, all right, now it's starting to make sense. And then it kind of
Yeah.
just goes.
That's why I think there's so many addictions in this world. You know, because people try to. We don't want to feel certain feelings. We want to just drink it away or smoke it away or exercise it away or whatever. And it just
Shop it away.
shop it away. Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, even that, it's like, okay, uh, great. That's an experience you went through. You had to go through it, and we can't beat ourselves up for it because a lot of the times you might beat yourself up because, oh man, something's wrong. Or somebody's gonna judge me for it. Like, what are they gonna think? I can't let them know. Oh my God, right? And you're beating yourself up for it because you're thinking about what somebody else is thinking about you. Where if you would probably get past it if you were to. All right, so it's actually not good for me because like I'm actually killing myself, right? I'm my liver is deteriorating because I'm doing this to myself. And if you start
Right.
looking at it more like, all right, well, I got to change something because my liver is going to go, instead of I got to change because of what somebody else is thinking about me. You're not going to change that way. You're just adding on to that, right? Where you start thinking of it like, man, my liver is like, I got to fix this. Then you might
Yeah.
actually change it in that moment and be okay
Yeah,
with
I
it.
mean, it's like when you go to the doctor, I wish doctors would focus, a lot more on not just the symptoms, but not just the symptoms and trying to give you medicine to take care of the symptoms, but try and figure out what's actually causing it. And not just diet and lifestyle, but like what's going on inside you? What are you going through
Yeah.
emotionally that might be causing
Emotionally,
this? Yeah, they
emotionally,
don't really look at that. Probably because
emotionally.
they're not trained to do that.
Yeah. And a lot of it is emotions that you got stored up.
Yep.
That's where like a lot of our diseases, discomforts,
Mhm.
problems, like inner and like outer. You get into an accident, you got something going on inside. Like, yo, um,
Yeah.
there's a book that I just read. It's amazing. Louise Hay. It's
Uh-huh.
called Heal Your Life, something like that. But
Mhm.
it talks about a lot of the like headaches is stems from an emotion of I think it's something like what is somebody thinking about me, or I'm thinking too much about
Mhm.
something that is causing it, where it's like you can work on what you're thinking about and working on that emotion, and like your headache starts to go away. I mean,
Right.
it's easier said than done, right? But that's where, like you said, it's coming from somewhere where
Right. Mhm.
but they don't want to focus on that because it's you. If you cure yourself, like who's gonna make money? Like, hey, you're not gonna come to the
Yeah.
doctor anymore if you learn how to. You learn that
Yeah.
you can do that for yourself, right?
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah. I got one more video and then I gotta go. It's kind of late for me, but
All right.
all right. So this is another genius, Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, he's dope. So
Yep.
this is the where the energy gets stuck.
Mhm.
Competition, control, impatience, your ego gets stuck in your belly right there.
Mhm.
Guilt, shame, pain, unworthiness here, and all the sexual stuff down there. I don't know where the top ones went. It's probably earlier in the thing, but I think I just let's see why I stopped it here.
Energy centers, and it never actually continues on in making its way back to the brain. As you've learned in the last episode, we have what's called a convergent focus. That's when we focus on matter, something material. And we have what's called a divergent focus, or a broad focus, or an open focus. And that's when we put our attention, our awareness on energy or nothing but frequency. Most people spend the majority of their time narrowing their focus on matter. But according to the quantum model of reality, reality is both particle and wave, matter and energy. And so in the introduction, in many of the meditations, in the work we do, I train people to do meditations, what we call a body parts meditation. And I ask people to rest their attention on different parts of their body and then become aware of the space around their body. And it was tedious in the beginning because I asked them to rest their attention on their nose and then become aware of the space that their nose is in space, and then their eyeballs, or the space between their ears, and then the space around their head. And all of that training was preparation for this meditation called the Blessing of the Energy Centers meditation. And it was a practice to begin to master a convergent and a divergent focus. By the same means, when you become aware of the space around your body, the act of doing that begins to slow your brain waves down from beta brainwave patterns into alpha and theta brainwave patterns. Now, what's the relevance behind that? Well, if you're in beta brainwave patterns, you're separate from the operating system where you can begin to make measurable changes. In other words, when you're in beta brainwave patterns, you're in your conscious thinking neocortex, and you're separate from the autonomic nervous system. So as you begin to open your awareness and relax, you begin to slow your brain waves down, and that is training for this meditation. Rest your attention in each one of these centers, and you can become aware of the space around these centers, like individual beach balls of energy. And you move from your first center to your second center, behind your navel and slightly below it. And that was your target. And you tuned into its energy. And then your third center, in the pit of your gut, resting your attention in that center and becoming aware of the space around it. As you learned in your heart and the space around your heart, in your throat, anchoring your attention in your throat and becoming aware of the space around it, connecting to your pineal gland, sensing the space it occupies in space and tuning into its energy and its frequency, resting your attention in the center of your head where your pituitary gland is and becoming aware of the space around your head. Just like creating coherence in your brain, you would begin to create coherence in each one of these individual energy centers. And when these individual brains become more coherent, they begin to send a very coherent message to all the cells and tissues and organs of the body. So we can understand then that so many people heal themselves of so many different health conditions because they understood what they were doing and why.
That's what you were
It
saying.
has taken some
Yeah.
time for people to practice both convergent and divergent focus. It takes some time for people to learn how to regulate and slow their brain waves down so they can begin to reprogram their autonomic nervous system.
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, when I came across your post and you talked about the energy never dying, and so I'm like, energy, that's what I've been like studying or researching on my own.
Mhm.
Where like, all right, let me just say, send out a comment on it and say, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and it's funny because these are things that, not just you and I are passionate about, but there are other people that are passionate about the same topics, and we never talk about it because we think that people are going to think we're weird or something.
Right. And I think so, like, I feel like it just enriches my learning experience here, where people that think I'm crazy, a lot of them might be just like, no, I believe in my God, and it's just got to be like this, where like you're limiting yourself from learning so much more if you just open, like, because it's great that you have your spiritual beliefs. It's great that you have your religion. It's great, but you have to like be open to so much more, because
It's funny you should
you
say
don't know
that
what
because,
you don't know what you're
yeah,
missing.
exactly. I mean, it's funny you should say that because I've said before, it's like I became a born again Christian when I was 15, and then I stopped going to church when I got divorced, basically because I got really mad at God and didn't want to go anymore. But during the course of not going to church, when I stopped going to church is when I actually found God. Because then I
Mm,
started to search in different other areas. And I noticed that this person is talking about the law of attraction, that person is talking about physics. And when you put it all together, it's really all the same message.
exactly.
Different way of looking at it. Pick the one that
Exactly.
works for you the best.
Exactly. And that kind of reminds me of the book, the story, The Alchemist, where I don't know if you read it before, but it's a short story. It's like 150.
I started reading it and then
Yeah, but
I
so
didn't
he's
finish.
in search, he goes in the journey in search of his treasure, right? And all along it was already here, but like he learned so much in his journey because he took the journey. He learned this, he experienced different things, he experienced love, he experienced how it is to make money, like be successful, right? And it all came back down to where he was started at. He already had his treasure there, but like
Right.
his journey was still worth the experience.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's like I think we're all it's all the same thing. It's a different perspective, just like you said it.
Yep.
But yeah, I enjoyed this.
So did I. We should do another one. I mean, I've got stories upon stories if you want
So
to,
let's
know
do
about the
that, right?
afterlife and all that.
Write them down, please, so that you don't forget them. And like say, let's do it. Shoot me a
Yeah.
text. I'll put my number in the messenger. But whatchamacallit? But yeah, so write them down and say, let's do one. Because
All right.
I'm open to it.
Cool. Well, this
But
was nice.
yeah, it was. So I mean, what do you think? Well, hold on, let me turn it off real quick. So this is the Free Yourself podcast. Did I tell you the meaning behind free yourself?
No.
So it's a in shelf, it's actually a shell. See the crab with the shell,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
right? So in freeing yourself from your shell, stepping out of your shell, um, breaking out of your shell, growing out of your shell, right? Allowing yourself to learn, experience life, be yourself, break out of that shell, and just find what you love to do and just do it and forget
Mhm.
about what anybody says about it. It's like, when you're dancing, like nobody's watching,
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
be yourself like nobody's watching. Like do it because it's going to make you actually live. And so in doing so, like when you're out of that shell, now your soft insides are vulnerable, right? And
Mhm.
that's my that's what como se dice? Like that's what I'm trying to get out of it. I'm trying to get out of or anybody that wants to talk about things that make them vulnerable because it helps you grow.
Right.
But yeah, that's the idea behind the podcast.
Interesting.
Yeah, let me turn this off.